Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our story time with Tree. Oops. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our story time with Trees Atlanta. My name is Miss Heather, and I'm going to be reading to you today a book called The Dandelion Seed. So I'm here as your guest reader this morning for the Trees Atlanta Storytime, and I work at the Atlanta Botanical Garden, and I spend a lot of my time in the children's garden. So I'm really excited to be here today. Thank you to Trees Atlanta for inviting me to be your storyteller today. We're going to read the dandelion seed, and after that we're going to do a fun little craft that is actually nature-based. So if you had time to gather some flowers this morning, that's great. And if you didn't know about the craft yet, I will show you how to make a beautiful flower chain or a flower crown at the end of this. So to get started, I'm going to just show you the beginning of the book. The cover, this is The Dandelion Seed by Joseph Anthony, and it's illustrated by Chris Arbo. So I'll show you those pictures up close. It was autumn in the garden. All of the flowers had died and dropped their seeds. Only one seed was left, a little dandelion seed who was afraid to let go. But the winter wind began to blow. The stronger the wind blew, the tighter the seed hung on until it felt the wind blow right through it. Then the seed left the garden behind. It became part of the wind and it was carried away. The world was bigger than the seed ever imagined. A little tiny dandelion seed. It was also more frightening. Right there. More lonely, and more beautiful. The more the seed saw, the smaller it felt. It wondered where it belonged. Do you think it belongs on this little cow? The seed landed when snow began to fall. It listened in silence as peace covered it like a blanket. The beautiful winter snow. Dandelion's all covered up now. Finally, spring came. Sunshine warmed the air and the soil, and the little seed began to grow tiny leaves and roots. Its leaves spread wide to gather sunlight. Its roots reached deep to drink fresh rain. Soon the seed flowered into the bright dandelion it was meant to be. There's a little ladybug crawling on there. It shared its green leaves with deer and with rabbits. It gave sweet nectar to bees and to butterflies. Then, almost overnight, the life that began as one little dandelion seed ripened into many. They each became part of the wind, and they were carried away. All except one. Don't be afraid, whispered the dandelion. The wind and the sun and the rain will take care of you. Let go, and you will see. You will see. Look at all the dandelions down here in the field. So that's the end of our book, The Dandelion Seed. Seeds can travel by the wind, as you can see with the dandelion. And I think it's really interesting to look at how other seeds might travel. So I brought some really beautiful things that I found on a walk this morning. So if you have time to go on a walk in your neighborhood, you could maybe look for different ways that seeds travel. I found this little suitcase for seeds. Sometimes seeds might be tucked in there, roll down the hill and get planted somewhere. I also found different ways that seeds might be tucked into plants like that. And I found this really neat one. Sometimes people call these helicopter seeds. They detach and then they blow in the wind and they look like little helicopters as they fall down. So there are lots of ways that seeds can travel. And I also wanted to show you, just like the dandelion, I found this plant that had these little tiny roots that were starting to grow, had big leaves that were spreading out to look for the sun, and a flower that was starting to bloom here. And I found one more, and look at how deep those roots would go. So you can see all the interesting things there are to find on a walk in your own neighborhood today. So our craft that we're gonna do is a fun one that you can do just by going on a walk and looking for some interesting flowers. So today I made a flower chain, and I made mine into a loop so that I could wear it like a crown. You can make one that's a chain you could make a crown like this. You could also make a bracelet or a necklace, or just enjoy playing with them. So I have a few different kinds of flowers that I found while I was out. When you go and you pick your flowers, you want to be careful to look for things that are safe to pick, and be careful not to accidentally pick your neighbor's garden unless they invite you to. So look for flowers that are wild flowers. They're safe, they won't make your skin itchy or anything. And then you also want to look for stems that are strong, but they're flexible as well. So I found this wildflower today, and to make my chain, I'm going to need to open up the stem just a little tiny bit. See how when I open it, it doesn't break apart? That's a really good choice. So these were fun. I also found clovers, and a lot of clovers are out around the neighborhoods in Atlanta and around Georgia, and they grow all over. So clovers are a nice one. What you're gonna do to make your daisy chain is pinch with your fingernail, or if you don't have a long fingernail, you could look for something just a little bit sharp to open up the stem just a little tiny bit. Hopefully you can see that. I'll put it up a bit closer. So you're opening your stem just a little bit. So clovers are a really good choice as well. Of course, you can make dandelion chains, and you can see I use these little wildflowers that I found today. So these ones were great because you could really open the stems on these. So to make your chain, you're going to take your first one, and you don't want it to be super, super long. So I'm going to make this one just a little bit shorter. So I'm going to take the bottom off, and I'm going to open up that little bit of that stem there. And then I'm going to take another one and thread it through the hole. So you break it off like this and slide it through the hole. And then you pull it tight. Now my flower has multiple flowers on it. That's fine. You could have flowers that just have one flower on the top. They look beautiful. I found that you can also mix and match. So my next one I'm going to do is a clover. So now I'm going to take the next stem, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make just a little opening in the stem, and then I'm going to push the clover through that one and pull it. You can see it's starting to make a little chain. Now I'm going to open up the clover stem, see, just a tiny bit, and let's go back to our purple daisy color. So if you did collect some flowers this morning, you can do this along with me, and if not, you can just watch and learn And if you want to make a necklace, you'd want to make a really long chain of these. If you wanted to make a crown, it should be pretty long. If you just want to make a bracelet or a chain, it can be any length that you want. And the fun thing is that you don't have to do it any special way. You can do it this way or another way that works for you. So let's go with purple. I'm going to thread it through. If you have one that breaks, you can just take that one off and try again with a new one, because not all of the stems are big enough to be able to open up without breaking. So you want to get flowers that aren't too tiny, because then you won't be able to open. So here comes the next one. I'm going to take off some of these broken ones. Thread it through the hole. You see how that goes right through there? My stem's a little bit long on that one, so I'll go ahead and break off the extra part. This stem's really long, so I'm going to break off some of that. Make my next little opening here. And I'm going to do another purple one. These ones were really beautiful. Let's slide this through. And see how it's making a nice long chain at this point? Mine are spaced out quite a bit. You can make them tight together if you have lots and lots of flowers. I just didn't have tons and tons of flowers, so I'm making mine pretty spaced out, but you can make them really close together. Lots of different colors. All right, so we're gonna do another one. I'm just gonna try this one so we can see how it looks in our chain. So I'm sliding it through just the same way I did with the other ones. And look at how big this stem is. So this stem is really easy to pinch open. And I have a lot of those flowers. I'm gonna slide it through. Now my chain's getting really long and it has different colors, different textures in there. I'm gonna do a couple more and then I'll show you how to close it up at the end. So you slide this through like that. And then at the very end, there are a couple of different ways you can close it. The way I like to do it is to take the first flower that I started with, and I'm going to connect it to the last stem that I ended with here. I found that if I use the head of the flower, it creates a nice way to hook the chain together where it doesn't fall apart. So I'm gonna open up my last stem like this. And I'm going to very carefully put the flower through the stem there and see how the flower hooks on and it creates a chain. So you can then put it over your head for your necklace. You can make your crown. So look at that, now I have a really big flower crown. So you can do this right at home. I found that flowers grow really nicely next to the sidewalk, and they also grow really well in the parks. So these kinds of flowers that are great for this, you could even look for in your own yard. If it hasn't been mowed lately, you might find some in that area. It can grow in the woodland. And there are lots of flowers. Just remember, if you have a flower like this with a crunchy stem, it's really hard to pull it apart. It will just break. So they're very pretty. They're something that you could maybe add into your crown at the end, but they won't be very good for making the part where you thread it through. So there is my flower crown. I hope you enjoy making it at home. Once again, thank you for coming and watching our story time with Trees Atlanta. I hope that you get to watch Miss Sabrina next week when she's back on doing her stories. And if you want to watch more story times, you can go on the website at Trees Atlanta. They have lots of fun activities to do. And then at the Atlanta Botanical Garden, we also have lots of fun videos and activities that you can do right at home. And those are posted on atlantabg.org/lifebloomson. So go on our website as well. We hope you have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us at the Trees Atlanta Storytime today. Bye-bye.